Olá, meninos e meninas, bom dia, boa tarde ou boa noite. Eu gostaria de fazer vocês todos bem-vindos ao nosso curso de português Entry 3 Improvers. Really do hope we have a great time together and we embark in this another wonderful course, another wonderful journey in learning this beautiful language, which is the Portuguese language. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited. And as you know, at the start of each course, I like to bring some ideas that we as a family of students or we as language learners should implement to improve our language learning, especially the learning of the Portuguese language. And here are some of the things that I would like us to do in this course. Okay, initially, I would like to invite you to find good textbooks or grammar books. Okay, remember that grammar is the backbone of any language. So we need to try our best to learn grammar. Through grammar, we understand how this new language is structured, and it's not criminal for us as language learners to make comparisons or sometimes even a little bit of of translation between one language and the other. So making comparisons between the languages is necessary, but grammar is important. Something else that I would like to advise you is to find complementary reading, like children's books, to increase your vocabulary. There are several apps nowadays that can be found free, and it helps you learn more vocabulary. And we know that when we see like the news apps, like from BBC Brazil, BBC Portugal, or Globo, which is one of the biggest Brazilian news broadcast. And also we have Fala Portugal as well. Okay, so there are various apps that we could or we should be reading to increase vocabulary. Something that will not only increase vocabulary but also improve our listening and pronunciation skills is our podcasts, YouTube, and music. Who doesn't love learning? Um, who doesn't love learning through music? I personally do love learning through music. Music is a great source to increase vocabulary, and it's always fun because we are doing something we actually love. Something that I want to encourage you to be, I want you to be patient because language learning is a journey. It's a journey. Language language is always evolving. So there is always something new. And you as a learner, us as a learner of a foreign language, we have to accept that sometimes the journey can be long. Okay? And I just want you to just be patient and enjoy it and never give up. Okay? That is the most important thing. Something that I also love talking about is about the concept of fluency. We always think that fluency is just like the whole concept of a native like approach. I would just want to speak like a Brazilian. I want to speak Portuguese like a Portuguese person. But in reality, this shouldn't be the case because fluency has stats. Okay, there are levels of fluency. Sometimes we forget that communication is fluency. Okay, so keep this in mind. See, when you when you interact with a Portuguese speaker and you get your message across to that listener, the listener understands you, and this listener talks back. to you, that means you are communicating, you are showing a level of fluency. Okay, so don't get put off and accept uh, that this ambition of being like a native speaker um, is a process. Okay, don't I really do like this example that like, can you imagine if you were learning the piano and like I wrote here, do you imagine yourself learning the piano and being able to play Mozart in a short time? I think it would be like a dream, but in reality, it's not how it works. Okay, so it does take time and it takes effort. Okay, but every conversation, whether this conversation is short or long, is the living proof that you are applying the language you've learned. So be positive about all this. So, something else that I do want to encourage you is to talk to other learners. Talk to native speakers, okay? Because again, language learning can be a very lonely journey. Okay, so you need to find mechanisms to help you develop more communication. So it's great if you can create a community of Portuguese speakers around you, like, get together with your classmates. It's a great way to improve your language learning, and everybody's on the same boat as well, which is great. Talk to your wife, talk to your husband or your amigos if you have an amigo that's a Portuguese speaker. Um, Talk to strangers. We have, if we can't travel to Brazil, if we can travel to Portugal, great, interact with these people. Let's talk in Portuguese with these people. These interactions could be probably talking about problems. If you want to talk about problems, that's okay. You can talk about, everybody likes talking about the weather, especially if you are in the UK and Ireland, we always love talking about the weather, how the weather is so cold, yada yada yada. If we are in Brazil or if we are in Portugal, everybody loves talking about the weather because the weather is always hot and it's uncomfortable and all that jazz. Okay, so try doing the same. Okay, be consistent. Be very, very consistent. That's very important. Okay, so study every day if possible. 5 or 10 minutes would be enough. It doesn't necessarily have to be something very like focused, like it's going to be the end of your life if you just have to study that. Okay, study doesn't necessarily have to be this boring, complex thing of having a book before you and you have to be reading all the time. There are lots of different mechanisms that you could use besides just learning those new words, which is essential, of course. Having your own vocabulary book and learning these words, but also grammar rules. And there is a type of learning that we call passive learning, which can be seen as the following example. You sit down in your house and you're going to say like, okay, I am going to watch a film in Portuguese, or I'm going to watch some Brazilian YouTuber, and all of a sudden you are learning words through those little videos, so your brain is actually actively absorbing that information, the information given in these videos. And out of the blue, you've learned new words. Isn't that beautiful? So keep that in mind. Okay, passive learning is also learning. So embrace this style of learning too. Okay, but be consistent. Never give up. Feel frustrated. Everybody's allowed to be frustrated, but never give up. Is that fair? So again, all I want to say to you now is to invite you to enjoy the journey. So curta esta viagem comigo. So nós somos uma família de aprendizes. We are a family of learners and we love learning. Okay? So to kickstart, I just want right now for you and I to do the following practice, just a quick revision, okay? Now I'm gonna turn into I'm gonna start talking Portuguese with you. Eu quero que você agora apresente o seu colega. Vamos conversar sobre o colega. Mas, para falar sobre o colega, eu gostaria que você entrevistasse seu colega. Faça perguntas ao colega, tipo, nome do colega, qual é o seu nome? Onde ele nasceu, ou onde ela nasceu, onde você nasceu, a idade, onde a pessoa mora, onde você mora. Você mora onde você mora, onde tu moras. O que é a idade? Qual é a sua idade? Quantos anos você tem? Horóscopo. Qual é o seu signo? Profissão. Qual é a sua profissão? O que você faz da vida? Ok? Coisas do tipo, o que você faz da vida? Qual a sua profissão? Estilo de música, que tipo de música você gosta? Qual a sua banda favorita? Qual é o seu cantor favorito? Qual a sua cantora favorita? Redes sociais, você gosta de redes sociais? Você tem redes sociais? Instagram, né? Snapchat, WhatsApp, X, ok? Você usa essas redes sociais com frequência? Com que frequência você usa essas redes sociais? Ok? Qual é a sua rede social favorita? Ou você não usa rede social? Ok? Esportes, você pratica esportes? Você gosta de esportes? Qual é seu esporte favorito? Tá bom? Ahn, pets, você tem pets? Você tem um cachorro? Você tem um gato? Você é alérgico a animais? Coisas assim, ok? Hobbies, você tem hobbies? Você gosta de ir para a praia? Você gosta de passear no parque? Ok? O que você não gosta de fazer? O que você não gosta de fazer ou não gosta de comer? Ok? Então, eu tenho uma lista de perguntas, uma lista de ideias para você. Por exemplo, eu vou apresentar o meu amigo imaginário para você, ok? My imaginary friend for you, usando as perguntas do slide, okay? Using the questions from the slide. So let's say I asked those questions. So, meu amigo, por exemplo, don't forget that whilst your friends are answering the exercise, write down everything you can hear, what you can hear about your friends. So write down any interesting information. Example, my imaginary friend here. Nome, este é meu amigo, o nome dele é Lucas. Ele nasceu em Lisboa, em Portugal. Agora ele mora em Londres, no Reino Unido. Ele tem 28 anos. O signo dele é touro. Ele é engenheiro. Ele trabalha com tecnologia. Ele gosta de música pop e sua cantora favorita é Dua Lipa. É a Dua Lipa. Ele tem redes sociais. A rede social favorita dele é o Instagram. Ele usa todos os dias. Ele não gosta de jogar futebol. Oh, desculpa, ele gosta de jogar futebol e nadar. Ele tem um pet, um cachorro chamado Max. Ele gosta de cozinhar, ler livros e viajar. Ele não gosta de fazer filas e limpar casa. Ok? Agora, now what I want you to do after collecting all that information, I want you to change the whole all the information that you collected in your questions and transform that in a piece of text. like the one that I have just written down for you. Ok? So, este é meu amigo Lucas. Ele nasceu em Lisboa, em Portugal, mas agora ele mora em Londres, no Reino Unido. Lucas tem 28 anos e o signo dele é touro. Ele é engenheiro e trabalha com tecnologia. Lucas gosta muito de música pop e a cantora favorita dele é a Dua Lipa. Ele usa redes sociais todos os dias, especialmente o Instagram, que é a rede que ele mais gosta. Nos tempos livres, ele pratica esportes como futebol e natação, e ele também tem um cachorro chamado Max, que é muito fofo. Seus hobbies são cozinhar, ler livros e viajar. No entanto, ele não gosta de fazer fila e nem de limpar a casa. You see? So all those questions that that information that I collected about my friend, I turned into a piece of text. And you know what's interesting? This piece of text has a couple of little details so it can give you fluidity, like words like but, mas, e, no entanto, nos tempos livres, especialmente. Notice that I am just connecting, threading all the information and turn it into a beautiful piece of text that makes sense. All right. And I would like you to do exactly the same thing. Okay. I really hope you enjoyed this lesson and please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. It will be a pleasure to answer them. But for now, this is the end of this lesson. Tchau, tchau. Bons estudos. Até a próxima aula. Fui!